And that's why you think, like you mentioned before, that you think this video is the most damning evidence that Baldoni has so far.
I think so. And it's not, it's better than worse.
But what I think we're seeing now with this quote is WME absolutely got rid of him because of these things that were said. And so now he's got a clear line to get damage support.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. The names conjure images of Hollywood royalty, a picture-perfect couple gracing magazine covers and charming audiences worldwide. We've become accustomed to their carefully curated public persona, the dazzling red carpet appearances, the witty social media exchanges, the seemingly effortless charm. They project an aura of untouchable success, a life seemingly untouched by real-world problems. But behind this shimmering facade of golden coupledom, a legal battle has erupted, tearing through the carefully constructed image to reveal a far less flattering reality. What was intended to be a strategic maneuver has spiraled into a full-blown crisis, exposing a shocking circus of calculated deception and blatant manipulation. This isn't just another fleeting celebrity squabble destined to fade from headlines. It's a profound unraveling, a deep and disturbing descent into the shadowy corners of Hollywood power, revealing desperate attempts at cover-ups and a legal strategy that has not only failed but has spectacularly backfired, leaving Blake Lively's carefully crafted reputation in absolute tatters. Prepare yourself, because the unvarnished truth behind this unfolding drama is far more scandalous and deeply unsettling than anyone initially suspected.
I think this is inching towards that percentage of lawsuits that don't settle. We could very well see a trial in this case.
So her testimony is super important in this case. And if you can show the jury that she's lied, juries don't like liars.
Blake Lively, it appears, profoundly miscalculated the dynamics of the legal arena, mistaking it for the easily manipulated landscape of public opinion. Sources suggest her lawsuit against Justin Baldoni was initially conceived not as a genuine pursuit of justice, but as a calculated PR stunt, a performance designed to manage perceptions and control the narrative. In the celebrity playbook, lawsuits can sometimes be wielded as weapons of public relations, tools to influence media cycles and sway public sentiment. Perhaps Lively believed that a carefully crafted legal complaint peppered with sensational accusations and delivered with the right degree of celebrity gravitas would be sufficient to intimidate Baldoni, silence critics, and ultimately emerge as the wronged party in the public eye, regardless of the actual legal merits. She may have envisioned a swift, decisive victory in the court of public opinion, bypassing the messy complexities of actual courtroom proceedings. However, she fundamentally underestimated a crucial element: the unwavering integrity of the presiding judge. Judge Lyman, a figure of authority accustomed to separating fact from fiction, was unmoved by the allure of celebrity or the carefully orchestrated theatrics. In a courtroom showdown that likely reverberated with icy shock through Lively's carefully constructed PR apparatus, Judge Lyman decisively dismantled her carefully constructed facade, dismissing her lawsuit not as a legitimate legal grievance, but as precisely what it appeared to be: a transparent PR circus. He underscored the foundational principles of the judicial system, emphasizing that courtrooms are sanctuaries of truth and evidence, not stages for celebrity melodrama or vehicles for manufactured narratives. With this single resounding judgment, Blake Lively's meticulously planned strategy to manipulate the legal system and control the public discourse began to unravel with breathtaking speed, crumbling under the weight of its own inherent dishonesty faster than any Hollywood fabrication could ever hope to stand.
So it kind of makes them look like they're trying to take that video, now that it's out, and kind of spin it in a different direction.
If you have somebody who has a significant amount of power in the industry and has the ability to tell stars not to go on your podcast in the future, and has general ability to make life uncomfortable for you and ask for a favor, you're more inclined to do it, right?
But the situation for Lively and Reynolds rapidly deteriorated, plunging from problematic to catastrophic with the emergence of a genuine bombshell, an evidentiary detonation that irrevocably altered the trajectory of the entire legal affair. Just as they might have believed they were containing the damage, managing the fallout through carefully worded statements and strategic leaks, an explosive leaked audio recording detonated, sending shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond. And this wasn't some ambiguous, easily dismissible snippet of conversation. This was, in essence, Hollywood's most guarded secrets, its unspoken power dynamics and clandestine practices, suddenly and unequivocally blasted into the public domain at full volume. The audio, allegedly capturing the voice of a prominent Emmanuel agent, contained an utterly staggering admission. Justin Baldoni, the very individual Blake Lively was publicly accusing of misconduct, had in fact been deliberately blacklisted from coveted Hollywood projects, and the rationale behind this career sabotage? Not any substantiated wrongdoing on Baldoni's part, not any professional failing, but solely and explicitly due to his perceived association with, yes, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds themselves. In an instant, the swirling currents of rumor and innuendo solidified into stark, irrefutable fact. This wasn't speculative gossip or third-hand accounts, it was the unvarnished confession of a powerful industry gatekeeper, caught on tape unequivocally acknowledging that Lively and Reynolds had leveraged their considerable influence, their immense industry clout, to inflict demonstrable harm on Baldoni's professional trajectory. The leaked audio functioned as a definitive smoking gun, tearing a gaping chasm in Lively's carefully constructed narrative of victimhood and starkly illuminating the raw, unchecked power dynamics that operate behind the glittering veneer of Hollywood, exposing a system where careers can be casually destroyed based on personal vendettas and whispered accusations.
Oh, just from a PR standpoint, if they both struck an agreement and walked away, that would be the smartest. Because it's not going to get it was never going to get any better from Lively after when she filed that California Civil Rights Division pre-complaint, right?
She wants different rules for her than she wants for Baldoni and his team, which I don't think the judge will agree with.
As if the leaked audio revelation wasn't sufficiently damning, a fresh layer of profound suspicion and unsettling intrigue descended upon the unfolding saga, further intensifying the inferno engulfing Lively and Reynolds and adding disturbing dimensions to the narrative. The Freakonomics podcast, a journalistic platform celebrated for its rigorous investigative approach, its fearless exploration of complex social issues, and its commitment to uncomfortable truths, had aired an episode featuring the aforementioned explosive Emmanuel audio. This particular episode was not merely a footnote in the ongoing saga, it held the potential to disseminate the unsettling realities of Hollywood's inner workings to a vast and engaged audience, threatening to shatter carefully maintained illusions of ethical conduct and equitable opportunity within the industry. And then, with an abruptness that defied plausible explanation, the episode simply vanished. It was expunged from the digital landscape, erased from online archives, gone without a trace. In our meticulously documented digital age, where information is relentlessly archived and perpetually accessible, such complete erasure is rarely accidental and almost invariably suggestive of deliberate intervention. This sudden, inexplicable disappearance ignited a firestorm of speculation and conjecture. Observers, analysts, and the public at large began to grapple with a chilling question. What magnitude of power do Lively and Reynolds genuinely command that they could seemingly orchestrate the digital vanishing act of an entire podcast episode from a reputable platform? If their influence extends to such blatant acts of media censorship, what other uncomfortable truths, what deeper layers of potential malfeasance have they successfully managed to conceal from public scrutiny? The perplexing vanishing of the podcast episode served only to amplify the pervasive atmosphere of suspicion, painting a disquieting portrait of unchecked influence and raising profound concerns about the potential for covert manipulation within the highest echelons of Hollywood's power structures. Despite their apparent capacity to suppress inconvenient narratives, the audio had already escaped. The damage was undeniably inflicted, and the unintended consequence of their censorship attempts, the Streisand effect, ironically amplified the very information they sought to bury, propelling it further and faster into the global consciousness.
So yes, does he have the power to do it? Yes. And I think a lot of people who are even a lot less powerful than Ari Emanuel would have the power to do that. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Okay, so I was able to read the amended complaint, which, by the way, it's very abnormal. It's almost 180 pages, 400 and some odd paragraphs. Complaints are not normally that long. But this one has to be for public consumption.
In a strategic maneuver that would ultimately be remembered as a monumentally self-inflicted wound, a masterclass in public relations ineptitude, Blake Lively opted to aggressively double down on her increasingly tenuous claims, dramatically hyping a specific piece of video evidence she confidently asserted would be the definitive smoking gun. The irrefutable visual confirmation of Baldoni's alleged transgressions, the ultimate proof that would definitively vindicate her accusations and irrevocably shatter his professional standing. She meticulously crafted a narrative of a horrifying, deeply disturbing on-set encounter, painting vivid verbal pictures of a scene so egregious, so demonstrably inappropriate that the mere unveiling of the video would, she implied, instantaneously terminate Baldoni's career and validate her entire legal campaign. A palpable sense of anticipation bordering on morbid curiosity permeated the media landscape. The public, primed for sensationalism and captivated by celebrity drama, waited with bated breath, poised to witness the unveiling of this supposedly career-ending visual indictment. And then, in a moment of spectacular, utterly unforeseen irony, the video leaked. Not in a controlled, strategically managed release, but in its raw, unedited entirety, surfacing unceremoniously online for all to scrutinize. And the content? It was nothing short of a devastating anticlimax, a comedic masterpiece of self-sabotage. The supposedly horrific scene depicted Blake Lively visibly smiling, audibly laughing, actively participating in the scene with apparent enthusiasm, and radiating an unmistakable air of comfort and ease. The highly anticipated smoking gun evidence? It unequivocally backfired, detonating not in Baldoni's face but squarely and hilariously in Lively's own, with the explosive force of 1,000 media spotlights trained on her utter miscalculation. The video didn't merely fall short of substantiating her claims, it comprehensively, unequivocally, and with undeniable visual clarity contradicted them, transforming what was intended to be a decisive legal weapon into an instrument of profound public humiliation. The sheer irony was breathtaking, the public reaction swift and merciless, solidifying in the collective perception the undeniable conclusion that Lively was not merely misinformed or mistaken. She was demonstrably, actively, and perhaps even consciously engaged in a campaign of public deception.
This dispute, these words that were said by Lively's side, had a clear, immediate negative impact on Baldoni's career.
Cornered by the irrefutable visual evidence of the leaked video and increasingly exposed as disingenuous, Lively's carefully assembled team reportedly descended into a rapidly accelerating spiral of increasingly outlandish and frankly absurd defenses, desperately grasping at straws in a frantic attempt to somehow salvage her rapidly disintegrating legal and reputational standing. Confronted with the undeniable, video-documented reality that utterly undermined her sworn testimony, directly contradicting her previously emphatic pronouncements, they embarked on a desperate scramble to concoct an explanation, any explanation, no matter how logically flimsy or demonstrably ridiculous, to mitigate the catastrophic damage, and the justification they ultimately unveiled? The now globally ridiculed, endlessly mocked, and utterly unbelievable not-in-character excuse. Yes, against all rational expectation and defying any semblance of logical coherence, they audaciously argued that despite Lively's clearly visible enjoyment and willing participation in the scene, Justin Baldoni, through some unspecified and utterly unsubstantiated method, was purportedly not in character during the interaction, and that she, Blake Lively, was somehow against her will and internal inclinations, forced to feign enjoyment and convincingly portray comfort, thereby rendering her outwardly positive demeanor somehow invalid and irrelevant. The sheer unadulterated stupidity of this argument was not just mind-blowing, it was profoundly insulting to the intelligence of any rational observer. It instantly became a global punchline, a meme-worthy example of celebrity delusion and legal desperation, mercilessly lampooned across social media platforms and late-night comedy circuits. Meanwhile, seasoned legal experts observing the unfolding debacle with a mixture of amusement and professional dismay reiterated the fundamental principle of legal proceedings. Demonstrably false statements, even singular instances of provable dishonesty, can irrevocably taint a witness's credibility, empowering a jury to entirely disregard their entire testimony, regardless of any subsequent attempts at retraction or revised narratives. And Lively, by this juncture, had been unequivocally exposed in multiple demonstrable falsehoods. Her credibility, once a valuable asset in her carefully managed public image, was not merely damaged or compromised. It was, for all intents and purposes, functionally deceased beyond resuscitation. With each increasingly preposterous excuse and every increasingly desperate, transparently fabricated attempt to rewrite the unyielding reality of the video evidence, Blake Lively demonstrably deepened the already substantial hole she had excavated for herself, transforming her ill-conceived legal battle into a globally televised spectacle of self-immolation, a cautionary tale of hubris and the ultimate futility of attempting to manipulate truth in the face of undeniable evidence.
Her testimony won't even count. And that is that's a harsh reality, because if the jury chooses not to listen to anything she has to say, she's the best witness in this case.
As the legal walls relentlessly closed in and the reputational noose visibly tightened around Lively and Reynolds, their reported responses escalated beyond mere desperation, venturing into ethically murky and potentially legally perilous territory, raising profound questions about the boundaries of Hollywood influence and the vulnerability of the legal system itself to external pressures. First, and most alarmingly, emerged the bombshell accusation of a staggering $100 million bribe attempt. Whispers originating from sources claiming intimate knowledge of the inner workings of the case circulated rapidly, alleging a clandestine push for an exceptionally restrictive attorney's eyes only AEO protection order, a legally complex maneuver designed to effectively shield critical evidence from virtually everyone, including the opposing legal team, the defendant Justin Baldoni himself, and even, remarkably, the presiding judge, with access restricted solely to a select, hand-picked circle of attorneys. The sheer audacity of such a request and the alleged motivation behind it ignited immediate and intense speculation. Why such extraordinary secrecy? What could possibly be so catastrophically damaging, so profoundly incriminating that Lively and Reynolds would allegedly resort to such extreme, legally questionable measures to suppress it? The only remotely plausible, albeit deeply troubling conclusion was that Lively was purportedly attempting to bury something of such devastating magnitude, so profoundly career-ending, that she was allegedly willing to contemplate actions that skirted, or perhaps even blatantly violated, the boundaries of legal propriety in a desperate bid to keep it permanently concealed from public and judicial scrutiny. Compounding the atmosphere of escalating desperation and questionable tactics were the sudden, almost farcical emergence of so-called phantom witnesses. These anonymous accusers, rolled out into the media sphere without names, verifiable identities, or any semblance of official documentation, purported to possess similar, vaguely defined experiences of alleged misconduct involving Baldoni. However, these ethereal witnesses were so demonstrably flimsy, so utterly devoid of verifiable credibility, that even notoriously sensationalist gossip blogs, typically eager to amplify any whisper of celebrity scandal, hesitated to grant them credence or platform their unsubstantiated claims. And finally, in a move that transcended mere desperation and veered into the realm of unintentional self-parody, Lively's PR apparatus reportedly unleashed a smear campaign of such breathtaking absurdity that it defied satire, an attempt to frame Baldoni as guilty of toxic positivity. Yes, in a stunning display of tone-deaf desperation, kindness, friendliness, and the audacious act of promoting positive workplace morale were now being bizarrely weaponized against him, recast as somehow sinister or manipulative. It was a flailing, nonsensical attempt to grasp at any available accusation, no matter how ludicrous, to deflect attention from the increasingly damning accumulation of evidence against Lively and Reynolds, a strategy so spectacularly misguided that it served only to further underscore the utter bankruptcy of their legal and public relations strategy.
Well, actually, what I said last time is, of the 92-8 split, which is 92% of cases settled and 8 don't, this does meet criteria of being within that 8%, because it's intensely personal.
The definitive, unmistakable harbinger of a truly unsalvageable situation in any crisis scenario is not merely the initial signs of trouble, nor even the frantic scrambling for damage control. It's the moment when the seasoned professionals, the crisis management experts, the individuals specifically trained and equipped to navigate reputational infernos, themselves begin to abandon ship. And in the rapidly sinking vessel that was Blake Lively's legal and public relations campaign, the professionals were reportedly not just signaling distress, they were actively, demonstrably, and with increasing urgency seeking to distance themselves from the unfolding catastrophe, desperate to somehow cauterize the hemorrhaging PR nightmare and increasingly aware of the profound depth of the reputational abyss looming before them, Lively and Reynolds allegedly engaged in an act of almost comical overreach, reportedly hiring former CIA agents. Yes, operatives with backgrounds in covert operations, disinformation campaigns, and international espionage for crisis management. These weren't merely seasoned publicists or damage control specialists. These were individuals trained in the art of deception, experts in manipulating narratives on a global scale, masters of burying inconvenient truths and orchestrating elaborate smokescreens to obscure reality. The very fact that they resorted to enlisting literal intelligence operatives, individuals more accustomed to navigating geopolitical crises and burying national security breaches than managing celebrity scandals, spoke volumes about the perceived scale of the impending disaster and the near-panic-level desperation gripping Lively's inner circle. However, even these purported masters of spin, these architects of disinformation reportedly found themselves facing an unprecedented challenge. A reputational quagmire so profoundly toxic, so comprehensively self-inflicted, that even their unparalleled skill sets proved demonstrably inadequate to salvage the situation. The underlying issues were too deeply rooted, the evidence too overwhelmingly damning, the public perception too irrevocably soured. And then came the ultimate unequivocal indicator of a truly lost cause, the death knell of any remaining hope for reputational redemption. Credible rumors began to proliferate within Hollywood circles, suggesting that even Leslie Sloan PR, the preeminent public relations firm renowned throughout the entertainment industry for its unparalleled ability to clean up the most horrific celebrity messes, representing a roster of A-list clientele and possessing a near mythical reputation for salvaging careers that by all rights should have been long extinguished, was actively attempting to extricate itself from representing Blake Lively altogether. Leslie Sloan PR, the firm that could seemingly make any scandal vanish with a strategically placed press release and a carefully crafted narrative, reportedly wanted no part of this particular case, deeming it, in essence, beyond their considerable skill set, a reputational black hole from which even their legendary expertise could not hope to extract a client unscathed. When your own hand-picked crisis management team, the very individuals you've entrusted to navigate the most turbulent storms, visibly and demonstrably conclude that your situation is irretrievable, a lost cause beyond redemption, then the inescapable conclusion is that you have indeed undeniably reached rock bottom.
Juries don't like liars. Trials are about credibility.
So, in the aftermath of this unfolding saga, where exactly does this leave Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds? Their meticulously conceived lawsuit, originally intended to be a shrewd strategic PR maneuver, has spectacularly imploded, unleashing a cascading avalanche of unintended consequences, irrevocably exposing a tangled web of calculated lies, clumsy manipulation, and increasingly desperate, transparently futile cover-up attempts. Their once sterling credibility is now demonstrably shattered, their carefully cultivated public reputation indelibly tarnished, and the shimmering facade of their perfect Hollywood image lies in scattered, irreparable fragments. From the initial miscalculation of the PR stunt lawsuit to the smoking gun audio revelation, the unsettling disappearance of the podcast episode, the hilariously backfiring video evidence, the increasingly ludicrous series of excuses, the ethically dubious desperate measures, and finally the near unprecedented panic and reported abandonment by both CIA-level crisis managers and Hollywood's most elite PR firm, every calculated move, every strategic decision they undertook seemed only to exacerbate the escalating crisis, driving them deeper into a self-constructed quagmire of their own making. This is not merely another ephemeral celebrity scandal destined to fade with the news cycle. It serves as a stark and sobering reminder that even within the often illusory realm of Hollywood, where perception is frequently prioritized over reality and image often trumps substance, fundamental truths will ultimately, inevitably surface, and that even the most meticulously crafted campaigns of manipulation will eventually encounter their limits, crumbling under the unyielding weight of demonstrable evidence and public scrutiny. The legal system, despite attempts to circumvent or influence its core principles, ultimately remains tethered to the pursuit of facts, the rigorous examination of evidence, and the unwavering quest for truth. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are now, with brutal clarity, confronting the harsh realities of this enduring principle, learning a profoundly expensive and reputationally devastating lesson in the limitations of Hollywood power and the ultimate resilience of truth. And as this unprecedented legal disaster continues its relentless downward trajectory, one central truth remains unequivocally clear. This complex and deeply revealing story is far from reaching its final chapter. Subscribe now to ensure you remain fully informed and comprehensively updated on every unexpected twist, every unforeseen turn, and every further shocking revelation within this explosive legal battle and ongoing Hollywood exposé. Don't risk missing a single newly exposed lie, a single further unraveling of the carefully constructed narrative. Hit that subscribe button immediately and join our community as we continue to meticulously uncover and dissect the deeply unsettling, continuously evolving truth behind this unfolding celebrity meltdown.